May the 1st, 2017. Got a lot of news to report on this week. Excuse me. May the 3rd, 4th, 5th, we're going to be updating. We're going to bring you non-stop videos on the weather, on World War III, what's going on with North Korea, China, Russia. Okay, but in this video, we're going to explain, and we got warnings that I'm putting out for a CME that's going to hit Earth either tonight or tomorrow. But before we get into that, let's talk about San Francisco. So in this article, San Francisco grid failure offers preview of EMP threat. They're talking about the blackout that happened on April the 20th, 2017 in San Francisco. At the bottom, it says chaotic situation lasted 7 hours, likely triggered by a solar flare. Okay, so they're talking about EMP threats, and we do have EMP threats. Okay, folks, right now as we speak, and you can watch other videos with proof. We got 2 North Korean satellites that's over the United States of America. At any given point in time, all they have to do is hit a button, and EMP would happen, and our grid would lose power. And yes, it would be chaotic. Okay, everything would shut down from your cars to your electricity to the grid line. But last week, on April the 20th, alright, it was caused by a solar flare. Alright, in this video, we're not talking about EMPs. We're not talking about an aging grid line. Even though it's aging, that's one of the reasons why a solar flare could hit and cause a blackout. Before we get into this even deeper, and I will give you guys the warnings, what's really going on out here, we're going to hit read more, and we're going to scroll down. Alright, and you already know that we have an aging power line, and we're going to keep scrolling down, where it's the most important. So, the reason for the blackout in San Francisco on April 20th was because on April the 18th, 2017, a major CME on the edge of the sun exploded. And it sent a glancing solar flare, and it hit our Earth. Okay, here's the proof. NASA observed a large coronal mass ejection from a sunspot late on April the 18th. And when you see me do weather videos, and I do space weather, I put warnings and watches for 24 to 48 hours. Now, according to spaceweather.com, if a CME can take between 42 to 208 hours to reach Earth, as NASA says, this particular CME could have passed near Earth on the morning of April 21st at the very time power went out in San Francisco. San Francisco was not the only American city to experience a power outage that morning. In New York City, power went down at one subway station at 7:20 a.m. And later that morning, across the country, power went out at Los Angeles International Airport and many other locations around the city. So not just the major part happened in San Francisco. You had a subway station that went down in New York and all over Los Angeles. All right, so this is pretty big. And on April 18th, the solar flare happened. And on April the 21st, electricity went out. All right. Now, I always put warnings and watches for 24 to 48 hours. Depends on how big a solar flare can be, is how fast it could travel. This was a big one, folks. This was a major one, and it glanced by Earth. Now, after April the 21st, 2017, when I do my weather videos and put warnings and watches out for earthquakes, major storms. All right, so hit the 21st. So NASA says it lasts anywhere to 208 hours it could reach Earth, and that's BS on that part. It takes within 24 to 48 hours, even the smallest one, to reach Earth. Once it hits Earth, a CME electrifies the upper atmosphere, and it could cause major storms, and we've been seeing a lot of major storms, a lot of weird patterns, because it energizes the cloud, because electricity is what controls our universe and everything basically around us. Is energy and electricity. So that energy goes into storms, and we see major storms. And this was a big one, so we've also seen a lot of earthquakes on the West Coast, like in Alaska, like in Japan, like all over the Pacific Ocean. All right, and it hit right there, folks. All right, so in this article, they talk about CMEs. Now, the warnings and watches. We also got another CME on its way that happened yesterday. This is space weather, like I always do. A magnetic storm's possible this week. A filament of magnesium on the sun exploded yesterday, April the 30th, hurling another CME into space. No analysts say the cloud could deliver a glancing blow. The same kind of way. Alright, the same kind of way. Alright, so basically 7 to 8 days later, another CME hit. And the Earth magnetic field on May the 3rd with a 40 chance. Alright, so when they talk about 208 hours, so between 24 to 48 hours, it hits Earth. 72 hours possible too. Alright, but it lasts after it hits Earth. The storm lasts a day at full potential, and then another 2 to 3 days until it wears off. And if there's a sunspot on the sun, if there's a large coronal hole, the storms could last longer and it could travel faster, but right now there ain't no coronal hole. Also, what's crazy is meteors from Halley's Comet. According to Canada's Meteor Orbit Radar, a hot spot has appeared in the constellation Aquarius. This is a sign that the annual ETE Aquarius meteor shower is underway. This sky map shows where the radar is detecting pings from incoming meteors in the broad daylight on May the 1st. So we got meteors coming to Earth. We got a lot of comets, a lot of asteroids that they've been reporting on the day that they're glancing by. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because what I warned you folks back in 2012. Yes, December the 21st, 2012. What they made people think was it ain't never going to happen. On that day, 99% of what we know about space actually comes from the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Sumerians, a lot of that. The Egyptians and their hieroglyphic, and the record. Every single 1,000, 12,000, 1,200 or 2,000 years, something, well, our constellations change, but every single 10,000 years, a major change happened, and that happened on December the 21st, 2012. Now, all these movies that you see, they brainwash people to accept this new kind of way. Back in the 90s, they started with Tornado, with Twister, The Day After Tomorrow. All right, a lot of these movies actually get government grants to prepare your mind for major storms, the earthquakes you've never seen before, so you won't panic. They program it so you won't panic of what's going on. The reason they did 2012 the way they did was because on that day, it seemed like nothing happened, right? They made it like everything's going to happen on this one day. No, what happens on that one day takes a 10-year cycle between the years 2021 to 2022. Our Earth lines up with the central galactic plane. The central galactic plane controls our whole universe and our gravity as we follow our sun. On that day, for 10 years right now, our sun lines up with the central galactic plane. All right. Now, why this is very informative is because I've made a video back in February warning starting in March and April. Our Earth is on the other side of the sun. All right, this is the beginning till the year 2020 until we go behind the sun. We're going to see a lot. This is like from now, 2017 to year 2020. This is when we're going to see the most destructive earthquakes, when we're going to see comets and asteroids passing by. Or before this, we were behind the sun. And the sun was lined up with the central galactic plane and all these major CMEs. Everything was happening on the other side of the sun. Yes, we have experienced the craziest weather so far, but we were on the other side of the sun. Now, as our Earth goes between the sun and the central galactic plane, we're seeing asteroids and comets coming so near Earth because of the gravitation from the central galactic plane that's dragging it in. This happens every 10,000 years, like the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, Sumerians, all the ancient society put it before another dark age happens. All right, because we did have technology before, and every single 10,000 years, well, with whatever technology we have, all it takes is a solar flare to knock out the energy and restarts everything. That's why it's called dark ages. They keep you guys out the light. All right. So these CMEs, we're going to see major. Now we're going to see major eruptions. So we had one April the 30th. So I'm putting warnings and watches for major earthquakes, for major storms. All right. I'm putting warnings and watches to year 2020 for asteroids, meteorites, all that stuff, because we are lined up with the central galactic plane, folks. We are lined up with the central galactic plane. All right, from San Francisco, that blackout, where it hit around the Ring of Fire, we've seen a lot of earthquakes within the week. All right, we see a lot of crazy storms, tornadoes in Texas killing people. That's from the CME. I made these weather videos for years. I have a whole different idea of how to predict weather. The way they tell you, the way they want to teach you guys how to predict weather is that it just happens on Earth. The way weather really happens is because our sun and our planets. When there's a full moon, what happens to the water, folks? It's high tide. So imagine the moon lining up with Jupiter and near Mars. What happens to our Earth crust? It raises up, folks. That's why there's plates. So when Jupiter and Mars and whatever's behind the moon lined up and move out, our plates drop, causing major earthquakes. Now with sunspots, with CME X-class solar flare, when it hits Earth, it energizes our outer atmosphere and causes bigger major storms. And on the year December 21st, 2012, when we were on the other side of the sun, we've seen the craziest earthquakes, we've seen biggest storms, we've seen a lot of stuff. But since March, when we are on officially the other side of the sun and the central galactic plane, of course, yes, we always go around the sun. But it's different when our whole galaxy shifts towards the central galactic plane. Okay, folks, this is what I'm trying to get at. All right. So the solar flares are getting sucked in from the energy from the central galactic plane. Our planets are moving. We're seeing our different shadows. We're seeing earthquakes. The CMEs are energizing, folks. So this is what's going on. Please rate, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. This is the No Face Movement. Moving till next time, facing off. And please be prepared, because we are officially on the other side. Our galaxy, all our planets are officially on the side towards the central galactic plane with our sun. We're going to see crazy asteroids. Just had another CME that was major. Even though it was on the other side of the sun on the edge, we're going to have a glancing blow. Either tomorrow or the 3rd, we're going to see a little power outages, but we're going to see earthquakes, and we're going to see major storms again this week. This is the movement, moving till next time, facing off.